we are.
Yeah, so it's do your thing.
It's Friday night. It's Paranormal Science Lab Live. I'm Lisa.
I'm John.
Wait.
Mom's not talking tonight.
So I guess the contest is, can we get her to talk?
Oh, she'll talk.
Yeah, she'll talk.
No tickling.
See?
See? That was easy.
Done. And show's over.
And show's over. And we lost the rest of our round table.
It's just the boys. Who knows what they're doing today?
No telling. No telling.
Probably looking for old bottles in this old building. Playing video games, one or the other.
Something. Well, our topic is, are people haunted or places haunted?
Both. Done. Show's over.
I see a theme going here.
It's both. Only in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I guess.
This was your topic, so what was your reasoning behind this topic?
Oh, throw me under the bus. Well, I think that
You need sound.
I do. I need some like little soundboard.
Oh, he'll end up making one probably.
Okay, sorry.
Constructive ideas, not destructive. I think, well, so many people are afraid that something is going to follow them or be connected to them.
From a tour?
From a tour, investigation, just being in a haunted place. You know, if they encounter something, is it going to, attach itself, follow them home, that kind of thing. But, there do seem to be some people that activity does seem to follow.
Yeah.
From place to place, and like the same thing, not that they just happen to be in different haunted places. And I guess not a good sound effect. Where's that piece of paper?
You said it was a used condom.
Don't you think, though, that a lot of it's fear, and because of the fear, it does come about for them?
I think it can.
Needs it.
Well, and I think that the fear can create a state of mind that someone can allow something to latch on.
And some of that, too, could be psychological, where they are so scared that they actually manifest, or their mind manifests something as real when it's not really happening. Like the ones that talk to voices and call us to come investigate in East Town.
Yeah.
And crazy.
But I talk to voices all the time.
That's a whole other animal, Mom.
Yeah. That's a little different kind of talking to voices.
It was crazy. Loca en la cabeza.
Yeah, John enjoyed that.
I was like, can we go now? I just reach over and turn my mic off. Because I was recording during the interview, and I just reach over and turn my mic off. I'm like, this lady's nuts, so there's no way. There ain't nothing going on.
But, I do think that, there's story, there's some people who seem to have the same thing happen to them at different places over time. And that, I think, is more the person. And I think it's easy to just say, it's psychological or whatever. But I do think that some people attract certain entities, and
absolutely.
And I think that the ones that are more likely when that happens are ones that have experiences with something very negative or inhuman. Those tend to be ones that seem to follow them more, follow the person. Not always, but. And perhaps it's the effect that they have on the person.
Or maybe they're just feeding off that energy.
Well, I do think it's sort of a parasitic, symbiotic thing.
I think most of the inhuman hauntings probably are symbiotic in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, there are instances where that's not the case, but probably I would say majority. People some people just like drama too.
No.
You
That never happens.
all the time on Facebook.
I think the more positive you are, the less likely you'll have encounter or even have those entities that you don't want around. And
Well, it's an energy level.
You need, you need to think about your own negativity or positivity or whichever.
I think severe depression or severe issues with things like that maybe can cause more of that type of haunting.
It gives the option, I think.
Right. I think that, you're right. The more positive you are, I think the less likely that's going to happen. Not saying that it can't, but less likely.
Or your encounters won't be of a negative nature.
Or last as long.
Right. I think a lot of times people in those situations that are negative or depressed or some other way imbalanced, just basically maybe are easier targets for inhuman entities. I mean, those are probably situations that they're more likely to target because they can feed off of energy and probably manipulate that easier than someone who's not dealing with those kind of issues.
Well, like attracts like. Crazies attract crazy. Sorry. What?
I always get the crazy ones, Mom. What are you trying to say there?
That you like drama.
No.
Maybe secretly.
I do like drama movies.
Yeah.
Drama TV shows. Not dramatic people.
Yeah. I understand I've had my share there too, and I don't enjoy it.
I like people just to leave me the hell alone. That's what I like.
Mm-hmm.
It's quiet. What? I like it. Well, this was a fun show.
You just keep going on these tangents. Not good sound effect. So, what do you think? What kind of spirits are more likely to be centered around a location?
Could be anything from residual to inhuman to whatever. I mean, I don't think it's really specific. Depends on some of that could depend on what happened at that location, and so on.
Well, I think a good question is, and we get this at times, that people say, "Oh, I really want to come to a tour. I want to come to events, but I'm afraid it'll follow me home."
Sure, it will. Absolutely. Every time you come. We'll send the absolute worst one that we could possibly get home with you.
Sarcasm alert.
Sheer love and
Rainbows.
lie.
Well, people forget that they have their own power.
They don't know that they have their own power.
They don't need to. I mean, even if it was inclined to follow you home, you just tell it to get back, go on, leave me alone.
We've been taught from birth that we don't have our own power. And some peoples are taught that only one person has that direct connection.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that's not necessarily the case. So most people don't even know they have their own power.
Well, I mean, they're taught that they have free will, but that free will is what's damned them too. And so then they get afraid of using free will, especially in
Certain
areas like the paranormal or the occult or whatever. And so I think that makes them more susceptible to issues happening too. Is that upstairs?
I don't know where that was. Probably something in the wall. Probably squirrels.
On that note, we put a plug in for our sponsor, the Hive in Joplin, Missouri.
Pretty sure they don't have squirrels in the walls. I don't know what that was though. Might have been a rat. No, I'm just kidding. We really aren't going to fill up an hour.
You start talking. Okay, well, actually, Tristan, before he vanished, brought up the subject of whether...
Haunted mermaids? No, we can't use that.
No, I wasn't going there. Of whether or not evil entities exist from beginning of time, or are they created because of man, our own intention?
Well, I think that man has created good and evil, or has decided what is good and evil. I think at the beginning of time there was no differentiation between it. Of course, it depends on if you believe in creationism or not.
Right.
But, it could be the snake and on the apples and Eve and her evilness. It's women. Satanic. That's where Satan started.
See, there you go. See, Lilith just said, screw this, I'm out of here. No hate mail, people.
No, I don't care. You can send me hate mail. But it's true, though. I mean, that's a man-made concept, good and evil, right? I mean, there's a balance to everything. We've just decided to name it. I don't know what it is.
I guess on that basis, if there wasn't something, quote, evil or negative out there, there could be repercussions that we don't even know. I mean, it's easy for us to say, oh, it would be wonderful if there was no bad side out there, but it may not work that way.
No, it probably wouldn't work that way.
Yeah.
How would you possibly have all good if you didn't know what good was?
Well, that's true, and it could just basically mean that everything comes to a halt.
It's true. Could be the end of it all. Poof.
You don't have to wait for the universe to implode or expand. And
I'm just waiting for the sun to engulf the Earth. 5 billion years. It's not a long time.
that's a little evil when you think about it.
No, but that actually makes me think that humans aren't actually the original inhabitants of this planet. Because if that happened here, it could happen anywhere, right? 5 billion years, we'll be obviously doing space travel of some sort.
We hope.
Well before then. If not, then we're really screwed. At that point, we probably will have made some sort of contact with another species from another planet, right? So, what if we're just planet jumpers? I mean, what if our species is from like 9254321 out there in the middle of nowhere, and it got engulfed by a sun at one point or whatever? I don't know.
It's very. I mean, it's
Pluto going to be inhabitable by the time that happens? I mean, how long can we live on Pluto for? Because if it gets into that section that's inhabitable in the solar system, does it start growing grass and trees and animals and
potentially? Yeah. I mean, it happened here.
So we live on a basketball for a couple of years.
Basketball.
Pluto's like the small one.
Yeah.
It's a little guy. So cute.
Till we make a bigger jump. Well, that's really true. She's looking at us like we're nuts.
And she's looking at me like I'm nuts.
I'm thinking, where did I go wrong?
I'm thinking I wish I had a mirror right now. It's true, though. I mean, who's to say that we're not the original inhabitants? It's impossible. I mean, okay, the whole evolution thing, it's possible. What if that's not? What if that's how we go to another planet? Mm-hmm. Right? They drop us off as some little seedling somewhere, and
the building. I think the building's launching right now.
That really freaked me out. So they drop us off as a seedling. We eventually evolve into this life form, and they know the time period, right? How long that really takes. Mm-hmm. So then we evolve into whatever else is next, and the planet's destroyed, and we got to go somewhere else, right? Maybe we turn back into a tadpole. Hell, I don't know. But there's some weird ass noises in here tonight. It's freaking me out.
Why?
I don't know. Probably because there's a big power bar or
box there.
Box right there. Oh my god, it's only been 16 minutes. Are you serious?
Well, we can talk about whatever we want.
Oh, I think I'll count the holes in the ceiling tile.
Do we have anything else to throw at him? No, seriously. I mean, the thing about it, though, I think there's a lot of truth to that, and that may explain a lot of the ET visitations that people have.
Come to see how we're doing. Maybe that's why they're probing. They want to see how we're developing, if we're developing enough to be able to move again.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, maybe they're probing to see which planet you might be better suited for.
Well, they're going to put me in the freakazoid planet when everybody dies off when they get there. I'm not going to breed any more of that one.
Did you have something strange in your coffee today or something?
No, I've been trying to fix our website all day.
It's probably what you got at the dentist yesterday.
You ever talk to my dentist for a long period of time?
Not for a long period of time, no.
It'd make you crazy. I like the guy, but he's a talker.
Well, as long as he's
Great
talking.
stories.
As long as he's talking, then you're not talking and he can work.
Actually, he asked me questions while he's working. The mouth is numb. He's got his hands in there. So, how's your day? I mean, how do you answer that? Chewing on your tongue while you're going along? I mean, I'm surprised I didn't bite through my tongue. Bleeding all over. I kept asking the lady if I was bleeding to death. Because I wouldn't have known if I bit through my tongue. I wouldn't have known. I was numb. I had a lot of shots in my mouth. I took a few shots before I went into the dentist. So, I mean, that was...
More sound effects.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to applaud. This show is really not going very well.
We just don't really know what to say to you right now.
I really hope nobody's listening.
Yeah, we'll figure something out here.
19. Oh, it's June 19th at 1919.
Ooh.
Wow.
Line 19's on my screen right now. It'll change here in a second.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. 8, 8, 16, 7, 15, 6.
Is there something?
Everyone thinks we're gone.
Is there anything that we need to know about what he's been doing lately?
He's just been playing with his plants.
They're not the good plants.
Are they bad plants?
No, those are in the basement.
I wouldn't be saying that.
Go ahead down there. I'll go with you.
God. Well, okay.
What's your 2 cents on people being haunted? Oh, Masterful Warrior 1.
I think that people who either have less of a grasp on reality or are negative, etc., are more likely to be haunted where activity is centered on them rather than the location.
Do you think the location has anything to do with it being haunted, though?
Sometimes. But I think when it's something negative, something or inhuman, that there's more of a correlation with the person.
I think that that's true, but what about the inhumans we've come across if there's nobody with them?
Well, well, obviously, I mean, they have to exist. I mean, they exist regardless of whether or not they're interacting with a particular person at that time. And I think there's some that are more connected to the ground, to the earth, in some way.
That would be more elemental, right?
Potentially. I mean, or that just seem to be centered in a certain kind of location.
I found a nose picker. It's like a finger condom, so you can pick your nose. It's even got ridges, so you can like take the clean it out like a pipe cleaner.
How much medicine did they give you at the dentist?
Not enough.
Yeah, I'm not so sure.
Not near enough. I never get that funny stuff either because it doesn't work on me.
The stuff that makes you laugh.
Yeah. It makes me laugh, but it sure as hell don't stop pain. I don't know where. That's rough.
That's probably that it doesn't stop the pain, but you just don't give a big.
No, I cared. I don't like them drilling in my face when I can feel it. I told him yesterday, I was like, I can feel that. He's like, I will give you the good stuff already. I feel it. I said, from now on, that's what I want in my mouth. That. Kills everything. You don't even feel yourself breathe.
Don't do that.
I'll put this back in the drawer so I might like that.
What else is in the drawer?
Oh, there's some screws and some Outback drink things. I'm really not sure what the... What?
You really should not show up to do this when you're in an altered state.
I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk. I don't think.
So, people who think that where they're living is haunted or has a
ghost,
certain,
yeah.
yes, whatever. But they end up moving, and not all of their friends go with them, but some are really their friends and not the place's friends.
I think it's possible, yeah.
Sure.
Or even, yeah, you know, I guess there's, you know, even some, you know, entity that just happened to be at a location could become attached and follow, but that doesn't happen too often unless it's really wished for.
You know, there's times when we've done tours that I'm pretty sure something came home, but they never stick around, and that's like, you know, they're usually there maybe for that night, maybe, and they're gone again. So,
and I know that can be unsettling for people to think, oh, something can follow you home, but the thing of it is, they follow you home anyway at times, and people just don't realize it.
right.
You know, and
When things happen and they just kind of blow it off, and actually it's paranormal, they just don't know it.
right.
You know, and I think that people do that on a regular basis anyway. But
Well, and I think they think, well, if I go to a place that is known to be haunted, something can follow me home. Well, if that were the case, then that place wouldn't stay haunted for very long
right,
because they would all
go away. And
go
never come
away.
back.
Yeah, right. And so that generally doesn't happen.
Especially since we go to these locations so much and get the same people, you
Mm-hmm.
know. We know that they're not going anywhere. You know,
Right.
for the most part.
Yeah, they
They
might
might come home and see what you got, you know.
Yeah, or wander to the neighbors or something, but you know, they're where they're at. But you know, and I think there's something to thought forms that people can just manifest something because of their own
Well,
energy, emotion.
I think that about the whole God, goddesses, entities, deities of any sort on that space, because that's a completely human ideal that we've given it a name, right? It's not necessarily what it is, but if you give something enough power, it becomes manifest. And, you know, we're talking thousands of years of these particular deities, being worshipped or followed by their, you know, whatever religion they're following. And so they have to have some sort of, you know, power, quote unquote.
Well, it's the same thing as, you know, that, you know, energy isn't destroyed, and if you're putting enough energy into something, especially putting out into the universe, something happens with it, and if it's directed enough, I think it becomes more tangible.
It'd have to, man. It's got to manifest into something.
You know, I mean,
It's like making this desk. You put energy into making this desk, and it manifests into this desk, right? You take the wood and you change the energy of that wood to become this. So you put enough energy into something else, it's got to have some power. Well, okay, so why don't they show up here? Well, they don't live on this plane. That's a whole nother realm of existence. You know, it's like the spirit animal of the bear. It's not a specific bear. It is of bear, right? So there is no specific entity that is your spirit animal. It's bear, right? So you have the power of this bear, of all bear, whatever that is, and but that's how, you know, it is seen on the other plane on a different level. So, well, why can't I see it? Because you don't practice on getting there. That's, you know, it's a no-brainer.
right.
It's sort of, if you're a spiritual person, you live spiritually, you try to do things spiritually, whether it be meditation or go to church or whatever the hell you do. You know, if you don't do those things, the rest of it's never going to happen. All right? You can't be a Christ follower if you don't live like Christ. Right?
No,
Because Christ hung out with the prostitutes and the villains and the murderers and all these horrible people. And he was there to help them, right? Right. Most Christians don't do that.
sounds like lawyers.
Yeah, and lawyers. Hey, maybe lawyers are Jesus. I'll take hate mail on that one too. John at ParanormalScienceLab.com. Please don't threaten my family. I will take your hate mail though. That was pretty. I'm sorry, Jesus. Baby black Jesus. I'm so sorry. At least it's flipping me off. Maybe we don't have video.
Well, better
Pretty
than...
sure Jesus didn't flip nobody off either.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Was that even a thing during Jesus' time though?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Because I think that come during didn't that come from the French? How did that come from? I read about this one time. It's something about they would cut off that finger because they couldn't pull a bow. And that's how they would say, you haven't got my finger. And that's how it became basically F you. You know? So it was something similar, some story similar to that. But it had to do with people, they were shooting arrows.
Okay.
Isn't that fascinating?
Trivia of the day.
It makes you feel smarter. because I'm here. I mean, really. I can go from spirituality to flipping people off in 0 seconds.
Yes, you can.
And I've proved it. And we still have 30 minutes of this hellacious show.
Well, if you weren't in such
Oh,
a
don't blame
transcendental
me.
state, maybe we could think a little straighter.
Don't blame me. I'm the one that's doing all the talking.
Okay, then talk some more.
Yeah.
I'm not out of things to say. I gotta find my nose picker. I ended up stealing this thing.
Oh. Don't know what to do with you tonight.
Shut up, stomach.
Okay, so
I don't know why
Patsy,
you
go
guys
on.
aren't talking. I'm sitting here watching me put this thing on my face.
next place of tour is going to be the Bordello.
That wasn't ever Bordello. You ask anybody over in Galena.
The House of Ill Repute. Is that what we're...
We get so much, and I think it's the same person or the same few people.
Yeah.
But they're convinced that was not the Bordello. I hate to tell you, I've seen the records.
Yeah. Well,
Are they
and
saying there was no Bordello
some
over
of
there?
Some of them do. Yeah.
And some of them say the Staffelbats never killed anyone.
Even though there's records showing that they did.
And some of them confessed at trial. Yeah.
And why do you think these people do that? Say that it's not there.
Well, they say it's because it puts a bad name on Galena, but it's the history. I don't know how.
It's okay for Joplin to have several houses of ill repute.
Joplin
Mars.
have those? What are you talking about?
There's one right over on that one corner over there.
Well, they're proud. You know, that's the thing is that they say, yeah, sure, here was the House of Lords. No big deal. But there's a certain segment that want to say none of these things happened. That basically there was no crime, there was no gambling, prostitution, anything like that in a mining town in the 1890s.
That never happened.
And that somehow it reflects on them now.
Yeah, I yet to figure that one out.
Well, this is, I guess, the same. It's the same argument that says, people should be, penalized because their forefathers owned slaves or they did anything. They should be held accountable for what happened 100 or 200 years ago. And, not really sure why. Had comments just night before from someone going on that, that none of this happened, and then it turned into, well, it happened, but it was different. It happened differently or a different place, and this and that.
Yeah, that's the thing that always irritates me too about them freaking out. Is because they never come up with any sort of evidence, and then their story changes like 15 times, literally within a 30-minute period of them arguing on Facebook, for instance. And so they have, you honestly know that they have no backing of their, what they're saying happened at all. Because they can't give you, we can go out and disprove it. It's, it's right there in writing because there's history of the building.
Right.
Just in the legal documentation,
right.
Cops showing up or whatever. The murders, the people being arrested. All that's in legal documentation. So how would they not know? And one of them calls herself a historian. That's what blows my mind. She calls herself an historian, but she obviously hasn't done any sort of research on that location.
And then incites other people trying to say that, oh, this person, says this or that, and actually what he's written says the exact opposite, So
She was trying to say people were indicted. For what?
she's talking about the city officials who've been recently indicted.
And what does that have to do with the bordello?
Because she's trying to say that one of them owns it.
And that has to do with it not being or being.
We really aren't sure. And
It was such an unclear conversation, I couldn't tell you.
And then was mad that the owner has named it, for event purposes, the Murder Bordello. I mean, it was just...
Those are just some special people. Special.
Mm-hmm. And the final argument was that I must be a drunk.
Yeah. That was her argument.
That was
You're drunk, and so how does that fit into it being not being or being?
I don't know.
You're the one spreading the rumors, so I guess that reflects back on you. That's please. We all know the owner who the owner is, and the lady that was showing the house for tours. I'm done. Just show your ignorance or too much wine.
Is that what she said?
Yeah,
that was part of
it's
what she
very
said.
hard to read because it's not English, but it's the education.
The education.
So is that what they said previous? No.
That's what I'm reading you from the.
Yeah, I mean
comments.
that's actually, in some ways, a little more calm and sedate than how she started out.
Let's see. Why do you keep telling people the lies? There was no Staffelback murders. There's no Staffelback murders. Hello? Documentation. You're not telling history, just fabrication all of you have made up. Disgusting. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed.
Ashamed. We're not ashamed. We're ashamed.
And Lisa gives the history. The Staffelbacks lived in a shack behind what is now the Galena Museum. You have not checked your history, and it has been proven only 1 or 2 men were killed and thrown in mine pits. Really? We're killed in the old shack, not the big house. Never any murders were committed there. Okay. Lisa didn't dispute the fact that they lived in the log house. This was our family home back in the 60s. What they portray is sad. The only one good memories living in the house. I think she was drunk. Now that I'm reading this,
Yeah, now that I reread it.
truthfully,
Now that I'm listening to it again,
I'm like, that's something I would say if I was slobbering drunk. We only have good memories living in the house.
Oh.
I mean, they didn't die there.
And there were no murders. But
You must be drunken.
and then later she says, "I wish they had just torn it down."
Yeah, she has great memories there, but let's destroy it.
Yeah. It's like we can. Every time there's an event, you can count on 1 or 2 of them to come out to do this.
Yeah.
And now,
Well, and really, you got to think that's their perception. I mean, we all have our different thoughts and
that's fine.
wavelengths and whatever. And for her, if she lived there in the house and had good memories of it, that's fine. I mean,
And if you're drunk the entire time, you probably had some great memories. I mean, really.
Grandma and Grandpa's house is haunted, obviously, but I feel extremely comfortable there.
The same way with my
Other
house.
people do not.
Right.
You know.
My
So
nephew won't go in my house.
So
Yeah.
I'm feeling that if I feel comfortable someplace, it's surely haunted because
Well, that's what, just
You
just
know?
because you're comfortable somewhere doesn't mean it's not haunted.
no.
You
But
know.
I mean, it doesn't. That's my measure is if I feel comfortable someplace. If they say it's haunted, yeah, it probably is because I'm comfortable there.
You're right.
It's because Mommy likes dead people.
They're not dead. They are not dead.
They're,
Only their physical body has gone somewhere.
They're
else
just differently situated.
and actually, scientists are trying to fix that.
where they don't die.
The only reason we die is because our cells stop reproducing, right? scientists are trying to figure out how to keep that from happening.
Right.
I'm like, that seems like a really bad idea. We've already got 8 billion people on the planet, right?
And
if we don't die and still reproduce, I think I've seen this movie.
It's called Soylent Green.
Yeah. They're going to start...
We're going to Pluto?
No, they're going to start...
Well,
making it
we'll
where
have to go
people
to a much bigger planet.
Well, they're going to have to... They have to make it where people can't reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, or a limited number of people
Yeah.
reproduce. Right?
Logan's Run.
Yeah. I mean, they've made movies about this happening.
Mm-hmm.
So if they actually figure this out, this is bad. So, you know...
It's kind of like women, they just leave it alone.
Well enough alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're always wanting to live longer. Why? I mean, okay, if we can live longer, I guess, and we don't turn into a decrepit old raisin,
Yeah.
all right, I can see that.
Quality of life.
Quality of life. But if I'm already 80 and that's when it stops, forget it. Just let me die. I mean, I don't want, you know what I mean? Because you see people, like, I see them, they're 120 or 117 years old, I think is the oldest lady. She has no quality of life. She doesn't do anything, right? I don't want to be that.
But then you see people in their 90s or 100 that are doing yoga.
That
Saw
will be
one
me.
gymnastics, things
You
like
don't
that.
know.
You don't
I'm
know.
too young. That hurts. It hurts now, and I'm 40.
Well, but
Yoga doesn't hurt.
you're doing it wrong.
I'm 6'1", 245 pounds, trying to do yoga. Yeah, I'm probably doing it wrong because my ass is too heavy to do some sort of weird pretzel thing.
Okay, back to the bordello.
Yeah. Thank you, Patsy.
Back we go.
I feel like you don't love me anymore, Mother.
I do love you.
It's just that you're a little spacey today.
Yeah, you're a little different.
It's the drinking I did before the show.
Yeah, we can
Took a few
tell.
shots of the
Well,
vodka.
that's obvious the way you were talking all ago.
I don't know what you're talking about. The bordello, that was never the Stuffelback's house. Well, no shit, Sherlock. They didn't live there.
No, you wouldn't want to live in that house if you were,
Killing people in it.
well,
Or run a bordello.
yeah, having ladies of the evening there.
Always making noise and...
Gentleman that pays for their services.
I don't know if they ever paid. Well, I don't know if they, I'm sure they probably would have had. I mean, they had to keep up some sort of airs of what they were doing, right? I mean, they could kill everyone.
No. And the stories were that they would, watch the patrons, and of course most of them would have a pouch with their money in it, their silver and gold, and they figured out who had a lot of money on them, and those were the ones they targeted.
So it's just purely for money.
For some of them. Now, the murder that they were convicted of was personal. No one knows really why, but the fellow was courting one of the sisters, and they, two of the brothers and the mother ran him off and actually ran him down the road and killed him, and then threw him in the mine shaft. And the reason that they didn't go after him for other murders was, for one thing, his body was the only one that was identified.
That was the only one they could get an identification. Of course, they didn't have DNA checks back then.
Right. But
Fingerprinting? Did they do fingerprinting?
it wasn't invented until like 1907 or 8, something like that.
So, they didn't have any of that.
Yeah. Well, and in the mine shaft, they just found body parts.
Right.
His was the only full body,
Ugh.
and it was found because it was floating.
So, see, back then would have been the time to do a murder, because really, if you chopped their head off, hard to, any identifying marks?
Well, there are some marks.
Well, yeah, but they decay.
Mother, lay off the wine.
Especially if they're in a mine shaft that's got water in it. I mean, they had to dredge the mine shaft, but they found they determined 12 bodies, including a woman's torso, just the torso. And it's speculated that that's probably one of the teenage girls.
It's probably the piranha in the cave, in the mine shaft that partially ate some.
Or alligators.
Mm-hmm.
Or the lizard people.
Well,
those are known to live in mine shafts around here.
And they'd had over 50 disappearances in a fairly short time period, but it wasn't uncommon because you had all these mine shafts, and the miners would get drunk. They'd be walking around at night drunk and sometimes fall in, and so determining who was murdered and who wasn't, because a lot of times the injuries were consistent with just falling in and down a mine shaft. But, at the time, once they started investigating, they estimated that there were probably 30 to 50 victims.
So they really don't ever know. They probably will never know.
No.
It would be interesting. Of course, they filled in that mine shaft now,
Mm-hmm.
but it would be interesting to go down there with like a metal detector or something.
Oh, yeah.
See what you could find.
To say that, nothing happened, I mean, it's just kind of ludicrous. I mean, this was a murder case that had national attention, was published in papers all across the country. You had a couple of the family members, admitting what they did. Then you had other family members testifying to other crimes. And so, and I understand them saying, oh, well, we don't know that it happened here. Well, then that comes in, you have all the circumstantial evidence that, they were running the bordello, police reported to that intersection, and things like that. But then, let's just look at what happens when you investigate the house. The EVPs that you get and so forth.
Right.
They point to murders happening.
Right, and they point to
really?
the Stuffelback still being there.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes. I mean...
The EVPs do.
Yeah. I mean, in one of the bedrooms, investigator asked once, "Why are you here?" Clear as day, he killed me. Another bedroom, that people repeatedly get the sensation of being choked and of someone being bludgeoned. One night I asked, has anyone died in here? And you get a female voice that says, "I must have died." And that's consistent with the testimony of the two teenage girls being bludgeoned to death.
So now, why were the teenage girls bludgeoned to death?
Well, the Staffelbats, they had a fairly lengthy criminal history, and two of the brothers, among other things, would at times join, a carnival and travel. And somewhere in western Kansas, the brothers picked up these two teenage girls, and it's odd because all the testimony in the records, and they're never named, and witnesses said they didn't know their names. Brought them back, and one of the brothers got mad because he thought his girl was paying attention to someone, and he choked her and bludgeoned her to death. And then the other brother pistol whipped his girl to death so that she couldn't tell.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice family.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, that's why they don't want that story told, even though it's.
But but it's not like
you can't deny it. I mean, it's all out there for people to find on their own.
right. But it's to say that murders didn't happen anywhere. I mean, it's like what if there was ever a murder anywhere in a town ever? That means that there's something wrong with the town. I mean, that's the kind of logic that they're using.
Yeah, and hell, I mean, honestly, if you go far enough back to anybody's lineage, you're going to find a murderer
Well, yeah.
somewhere,
Yeah.
or somebody convicted of murder.
Well, yeah. I mean, at some point, it's happened. And again, it doesn't reflect on the town, people now. It doesn't reflect on the descendants of the family now. Unless they're out doing something. It just, I just don't understand. And one thing I don't understand either, here's a good comparison. Here you have this situation. Now look in New Haven and the Lizzie Borden house. Look how they have embraced what happened and used it to the town's advantage.
Although there are some people that say Lizzie Borden's got a bad rap.
Well, no, I think there's a lot of evidence that she got a bad rap. But, the murders happened, and they used that to bring people in, and,
Yeah, because a little town like Galena doesn't need something like that.
Exactly, so, even if, New Haven could be saying, well, Lizzie got a bad rap, this didn't happen, we shouldn't call it, the Lizzie Borden case or this or that, because it really didn't happen that way. It's the same kind of logic. It doesn't matter. The murders happen, events happen, and, something good can come out of it. Plus, in this situation, whatever the situation, it was a historic house that got saved in Galena.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because anybody saw the pictures prior to it, Lisa's actually been in it.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was very bad.
And truthfully, they probably should have knocked it down. If it didn't have the historical background that it does, I wouldn't have put the money in it that was put in it.
No,
not even kind of.
There were places that you could be on the first floor and look clear through the roof, through the attic. And, there were places you couldn't walk because there was no floor. There was absolutely no walls, just studs. The only thing in the house that really you could say hadn't pretty much been just demolished was the fireplaces and the staircase. The staircase was perfect, just like it is now, but everything around it was just falling to pieces, and it would sway in the wind.
Oh Lord!
It was like, if the wind was blowing, it was like you were on the deck of a ship. When they shored it up, they had to use a crane and pull it in. It was out of plumb over 2 feet.
Wow.
And I've been in there investigating when a thunderstorm came up once during the summer, unexpected, and literally because there was no roof or flooring in spots, you had rain coming in and literally were popping illuminators through the house off the cameras and everything, and literally we're having to run through the house trying to unplug everything before it hit the DVRs. That's how bad it was. And so I just don't understand why people say, oh, it should be torn down, or this is so obscene, or whatever.
Oh, they throw a fit about that. They throw a hissy fit about his stained glass.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it doesn't show anything.
No, it's very. It's more kind of like a Greek nude, and it's from the side of it's not anything that would be considered graphic,
right?
And I just don't understand. It's like they're losing the forest for the trees.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've got it. It's on the historical Route 66, correct?
Yeah, and there's people that actually come from other countries and come through there because, obviously, they want to go. They come for Old 66, and they also come for that house.
Yeah, for that, right?
People come through there and pay money to. Plus, that's bringing them through downtown Galena, where they've tried to do all this renovation, which is great. But that renovation's for naught if they don't have people coming down there and using it.
And they've got some new restaurants and stuff, and but if you don't get people there, nothing's going to last.
Yeah, you got to be open. These towns like this have to be open-minded about this type of stuff. We're not saying that you have to accept the idea. That's entirely on you. We're saying don't throw such a big hissy fit about it and forget about what it's doing for your town. You know,
It's just part of history.
it is part of history.
Pure
We
and
live
simple.
on Maiden Lane. Maiden Lane got its name from what? Hello,
Brothels, yeah.
brothels. So, you know,
I mean, it's just like Joplin. Joplin isn't embarrassed by the fact that you had the House of Lords, and
everybody laughs about it because there was a tunnel under the road.
yeah,
You know,
Well, they didn't want to get wet when it rained.
well, they didn't want to be
Or
seen going in.
seen,
I'm trying to be
Perverts.
delicate here.
right.
Yeah,
And people, I think in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, they have a big tech school. And they have a city, at least a city-sanctioned house of ill repute. And their
By God, they should too.
and their number of rape cases is almost nil. Because they have this where people can be happy.
Well,
So
and then that really makes
good
sense.
save.
I mean, that makes sense. You think about that from a Catholic Church standpoint, where they were molesting little boys because they're not allowed to have that type of relationship. Well, if you take away a human, actually it's animalistic,
A natural.
emotion, it's natural. People are gonna do stupid stuff. I mean, really. I'm not condoning what they're doing by any
No.
stretch of the imagination, but that's what's going to happen. I don't know why people's here in America we've put too much emphasis on we don't want to see no nakedness. Where in other countries, they're okay with it, and they have their rapes and such sexual crimes are way lower than ours here.
Yeah. I mean, you're always going to have a certain amount because you just are. But, we are very uptight sexually in America. Hate mail accepted. But it's true. I mean,
Lisa at ParanormalScienceLab. Go ahead.
but it's true. I mean, we're very uptight sexually, and we're not comfortable with ourselves, and we haven't figured out how to deal with a lot of these issues. And a lot of older countries have less problems with some of these things, but of course they've been hashing out and dealing with it for a lot longer too.
I'm pretty. I don't have a problem with me.
We noticed with that big mirror you carry around.
Right. We're running out of time, thank God. Glad this show's over.
Hey, we
Oh,
saved
baby
it.
Jesus.
We pulled it out.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's like
And
Pulling
he
toenails.
doesn't like drama, he
No.
says. No.
it's like pulling toenails.
Now you know where Mitchell gets it.
Yeah.
Peanut. His name's not Mitchell.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for showing up to this god-awful show. Hope you all have a great night. Come see us at the Bordello in about a week.
No.
No,
July
2
the
weeks.
11th.
3 weeks.
3
Holy
weeks.
crap, 3 weeks.
3
July
weeks.
the
How many tours?
11th.
3 weeks.
July 11th, 8 p.m.
You get to see the crazies.
Next week we'll be at the Coleman Theater.
Oh, yes.
That will be fun.
Yeah, doing a private
Miami,
investigation there.
Oklahoma. So that will be fun. Son of a biscuit.
I tell you
It's gonna
that
fall down.
either that or it's just going to launch.
Okay, well, thank everyone for showing up tonight. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
Thank
Night.
you. Night.